Welcome to the Force Unscripted. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. Today is going to be the start of part one of our three-part season finale about Obi-Wan the homie. You gotta love Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Star Wars fans, young and old, gather round as we embark on a journey through a galaxy far, far away. In the grand tapestry of the Force, there is one figure whose wisdom, courage, and unwavering dedication have left an indelible mark on the hearts of millions. A name whispered in reverence, a hero of the Republic, a mentor to the Chosen One, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan, a name that resonates through the ages, a Jedi Knight whose tale spans from the era of the Clone Wars to the rise of the Empire, a beacon of hope in times of darkness, a guardian of peace in a turbulent galaxy. And just among the Jedi Order, he stands as a paragon of virtue, a master of the lightsaber, and a guardian of justice. From his humble beginnings as a young Padawan under the tutelage of Qui-Gon Jinn to his role as a wise and battle-hardened Jedi Master, Obi-Wan's journey is one of growth and sacrifice and just absolute unwavering resolve. He's faced the Sith, he's navigated the treacherous politics of the Galactic Senate, and trained the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, who would ultimately become Darth Vader, and then Anakin Skywalker again, and then the Father, as one podcast member had to so recently admit to anyways. But Obi-Wan is more than just a Jedi. He is a symbol of resilience, of the undying commitment to the light side of the Force, and many other things. He's a reminder that in the darkest of times, there's always a spark of hope and a glimmer of possibility. Whether it's facing down Sith Lords, dueling on the molten terrain of Mustafar, or watching over our dear precious Luke Skywalker on Tatooine, Obi-Wan embodies the Jedi Code, living by the mantra, there is no emotion, there is peace. But it wasn't always that way. Man's went through some stuff, had some feels for sure, which we're definitely going to get into. So, as we dive into the rich history and enduring legacy of Obi-Wan Kenobi, let us remember the hero who walked the path of the Jedi, who stood as a pillar of virtue, and whose actions inspired generations. This is the story of a man who, even in exile, remained the guardian of peace and a symbol of hope. This is the story of Obi-Wan the homie. Alright, so, Hunter, you ready? You ready to do this thing?
There's a thing, and I'm here to do it.
That's comforting, I think. Is that considered comforting? Don't go weak on me now. Come on, man. All right, so Obi-Wan Kenobi. So the way, of course, the Force Unscripted, we keep to the nature of the unscripted show, but we're doing three parts, that's for sure. So the way that it's kind of going to go for you listeners out there is basically for part one, we're going to focus mostly on like Obi, Qui-Gon, Anakin, like that era, like basically everything up until like the Clone Wars, so like Obi as a Padawan. Then part two, we'll kind of focus on Obi and Annie in their relationship and the Clone Wars and all the way up until Order 66. And then the third part, the finale of the finale, if you will be basically post Order 66. So we'll be able to talk about episode 4, the events of Kenobi the show. So just you guys are in for a lot. Obi-Wan is one of the big names in Star Wars. This is name brand Star Wars stuff. Like Ahsoka's like HEB brand stuff, like Great Value brand stuff. Like, it's good, it's great. It's not as good as the name brand stuff, but it can rock with them, because that's how I feel. I might get a little bit of hate for that. I'm sorry. Don't look at me like that, Hunter. I see your eye. But yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, one thing that I have always loved about Obi-Wan is his dynamic with other people, because it's rare, at least in my experience, that you see Obi-Wan who just so absolutely resonates with someone, which is why I think his relationship with Anakin, especially in Anakin's early adulthood and in basically Obi-Wan's prime, they're like the bros, like they're like the bros, and that's like the first real person you see him resonate with. I mean, when you go back and oh, what was her name? Satine? Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, Satine. That is like, you can see some stuff where like they kind of resonate, but again, Obi-Wan is like, can be very polar in instances with like anyone he's paired with. And I think it all starts with Qui-Gon. And I love Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon is like, he's like the Jedi hippie. Like, he's just very different. And like, you're like, silly Qui-Gon, but he's also a badass. Like, Qui-Gon is really good. And it's just so funny because him and Obi-Wan clash so much. Especially in Legends, they have a relationship. It's one of love, you know, there's nothing but love there, but like, it's so funny because Obi-Wan is a Padawan criticizing his master at every turn. At every turn, and it's hilarious. And Qui-Gon had this habit of like picking up waifs and strays, which comes to like a peek ahead, whatever you want to call it, with him picking up Anakin on Tatooine. But like, he has a habit of picking up waifs and strays, and it just rubs Obi-Wan the wrong way all the time. All the time. I think that is hilarious.
Well, I mean, you know, it's just like, oh, great, another one that I gotta take care of and pretend to care about. And
it's I mean, I just feel like, I don't know, it's so funny to me. I love the dynamic of like teacher and student, where teacher's a dumbass and student is a genius. That's kind of how it feels with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Oh, so like us.
Which one am I? Are you calling me Qui-Gon?
Look me in the eyes right now.
Are you calling me Qui-Gon? Are you telling me that I'm going to get stabbed by a dude wearing pride makeup and die? Okay.
Straight through the stomach.
Straight through this. You know what? That's the source of all of my problems anyway, so take me out at the core, baby.
And unlike every other character that gets stabbed through the stomach by a lightsaber, you're the only one who dies.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's just a skill issue.
You know, I know it's a small tangent, but talking about that, would that actually kill someone? Because doesn't like the wound automatically cauterize, so you'd be like kind of okay, at least long enough to like get some help? No, like with their advanced society.
Qui-Gon really just was weak right there. I mean, unless it like maybe hit like his diaphragm or something, maybe he couldn't breathe, but definitely the back to stuff like regrows skin and whatnot. I mean, it can't regrow like whole limbs, but I mean, the cybernetics are good enough. We see what's her face from the Mandalorian, the sniper, I forget her name now.
How do you forget something Mandalorian? I'm honestly shocked.
Because she's not a Mandalorian. She's like Boba Fett's the secretary.
Fennec Shand?
Yeah, Fennec. She basically gets like her whole stomach destroyed, and Boba's just like, here, have some cybernetics. Voila, new stomach. Qui-Gon was real weak.
They just had to shit on. You know what? But they had to shit on Qui-Gon. If Qui-Gon lives, none of the events of like, I don't think Order 66 happens.
No, because Qui-Gon would have raised Anakin to be his like little hippie brother, and
exactly,
it would have been great.
And you know, that's something that I want to talk about too, because I think because of what you just described, people like often shit on Qui-Gon, but Qui-Gon was a badass. If you like, he was actually a great duelist, and I think people forget that like his master was Dooku. Homie had hands. Like, homie legitimately had hands. And in the novelization of Episode 1, they talk about how like that you get to see like Qui-Gon's inner monologue, and he's like, you know what, I know I'm good, I know I'm a master, but I'm not in my prime anymore. You know, I'm waning. I'm old. Like, I'm an old man. And this like, because he doesn't know it's a Sith, he's like, this assassin is in the prime of his life. Like, he's going hard. I feel the force within him. He's strong. Like, I am no match. Like, Qui-Gon knew. And I think that is just kind of poetic in the downfall of everything, because everyone knows Duel of the Fates. Like, that is the like, everyone loves that song, and you know, shout out John Williams, obviously, but that's the thing. The Jedi quote unquote win that fight because they quote unquote kill Maul, but they lose overall in the Duel of the Fates, the faith where Qui-Gon lives Maul is either outed or killed, and Anakin gets the master he needs, or Qui-Gon dies, which is what happens, and then all of the events that follow it just cascade into Cataclysm. And like that's the thing. The Jedi win that skirmish, but they lose the war. They lose the duel of the fates. The fate where Anakin has to basically bring about absolute destruction is the only option. That's the fate that won. And I just the poeticism of it is fantastic. It's what I love about the deeper Star Wars story, especially when you get to read the books and stuff and see the novelization of scenes that you can see playing out in your head. Like, because when you think of the fight with Maul and Qui-Gon, to know that he is thinking like, I'm good, but I'm not him. Like, I'm not Himothy. He's like, I'm facing Himothy right now, and plot armor ain't got me this time. Like, and it's just, I think that one, it was key. It was necessary to get the Obi-Wan that we have, but damn does it suck, because that was the dad friend that Anakin needed. That was him. That was who would have made sure that the chosen one would have just been maybe a little bit more, like, quote unquote left in his Jedi views than the standard Jedi, most of the council at the time. But it's just so impactful for Obi-Wan, because I mean, he loses someone who he criticized at every turn, but truly did love, like an uncle / father figure, you know, as a mentor also. And it's I feel like it's what breeds his growing softness for Anakin, which leads to his downfall. Because I feel like Obi-Wan himself truly does embody what I guess Yoda and other Jedi Masters had seen through attachment, because Obi-Wan falls pretty f***ing hard because of his love for Anakin. A lot of things. His love for Anakin made him not out his friend about the love interest with Padme. Him loving Anakin so deeply, and his emotions towards Anakin, he maims him, and though he thinks he's dead, I mean, like, he could have made sure he was. Like, that was something that's, I know it's not the Jedi way, but like, you know that this is your enemy. This is, he is a Sith. He even says it. But it's just his love for his brother, his friend, his Padawan is ultimately a big downfall of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think that affects him because he knows about emotion. Like, he knows that, like, it's said, like, emotion, attachment, you know, will lead to all this stuff that goes to the dark side. And though Obi-Wan never goes to the dark side, I feel like he is definitely tested. It's a test of faith. It's a necessary test of faith too.
Yeah, but I don't think Obi-Wan was ever even, like, in danger of falling to the dark side.
No, I'm not, and I'm not saying that. Like, I don't think that. I never thought he was susceptible, but he is firsthand experiencing pain from attachments, which is a tenet, like, of the Jedi that he was raised by, like, no attachments. It's just irony to me.
But I think he takes the attachment the right way in comparison to Anakin's extremism, right? So.
Oh no, I mean, I agree. I don't like the fact that the Jedi can't bring emotions. That's one thing that I love about Luke's Jedi Academy, you know, like when he reestablishes the new Jedi Order, like, attachment is fine. I feel like the timing of it, knowing that it's the downfall of the Jedi, knowing that one of their main tenets is no emotion, no attachment, and Obi-Wan has to go through his sin of attachment, the atonement for his sin. I think it's poetic. I love the story. You can't tell me you disagree with that.
No. But what I was saying was, like, yes, the Yoda sycophants are no emotion, no attachment, etc. Attachment, yes, we hear, like, oh my gosh, you have to learn to let go, blah, blah, blah. But Obi-Wan did know how to let go. He was definitely, like, the ideal form of love, per se, because, like we saw Anakin, he takes it to the extreme. He gets married, which, I mean, none of us see a problem with that. Luke's Jedi Order was perfectly fine, but the fear of, like, failure, the fear of losing, that kind of thing led, you know, ultimately to Anakin's downfall, where Obi-Wan didn't fear the loss, but he did love hard. You know, that's how Obi-Wan was. Like, when we see Satine die, like, he's able to let go and move on like he's supposed to. He's able to, you know, handle his attachments the way they're meant to be handled. I think he does a way better job of it than Yoda tells Anakin to do, where Yoda's just like, forget it all, you know, peace out, don't love anything, no emotion. But the Jedi aren't about You can't have peace without some like love. Like you can't just be tranquil all the time. Yoda's psycho for saying that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the Geimer stick, right? Like he's just batshit crazy because he's old. I mean, he is batshit crazy, but I love Yoda, but I don't love Yoda's teachings all the time.
I mean, look at Mace, right? Like his whole fighting style involves drawing on emotion and the dark side and fighting with passion.
And
And
that's
what
why
do you know?
Vapid
He's
is
one of
so cool.
right, yeah, and he's one of like the best, lightsaber duelists ever. I mean, he claps Sidious for a reason. Clearly, there is power and strength in emotion. You just can't let the fear, rule you. That's the fear and like the greed is what leads, ultimately to the downfall or the fall to the dark side. But having love and whatever for other people and peace and all that kind of stuff is should be perfectly fine. And Yoda's just too old and he talks, backwards because he's 1,000 years old and he never caught
Is
up with
it
the
is it
times.
it's back asswards?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Like,
The only thing that you said that I just kind of, it's not that I disagree with because it's newer knowledge to me, I guess, but I don't think Obi-Wan is good at letting go. Like you said he's good at it. I don't think so. I think he's been forced into doing it. I don't think he's good at it.
I didn't say he's good at it. I said he's good at managing it or good at handling it.
You
Shit.
know we record. You know we have audio. Like this is recorded. You're
Yeah,
gonna
but
say you didn't, but
I'm
you
not
said
saying he's
word
good
for
at just
word.
he's good at being a Jedi, all right? He's good at following what a Jedi should be. He follows Master Yoda a little too much. He just believes in his old green grandpa a little too much. We see
Oh,
we see Qui-Gon fall. Yes, he goes ham on Maul, but like he is able to move on and take on his master's final wishes, which was to train Anakin. And when Satine dies, he is able to, handle his shit and move on. And even when they're like, we can't be together, even though he did say, if you had asked, I would have left the order, but he moved on after that because obviously he didn't leave the order. And then she died, and he handles his shit. And it was Maul that killed her, and he still didn't fall to the dark side or anything like that. And then Anakin's, going crazy, killing children, and he's like, I'll do what I gotta do, man. I love you like a brother, but let me just cut off your limbs and dump you in a lava pit and then think you're dead for the next 10 years.
you
And
say
yeah, it
that as if you
sucks.
wouldn't do that to a brother. I would absolutely do that to Brick 3PO in a heartbeat. Brick 3PO, your
Yeah,
limbs are mine. Bathe in lava.
Rick 3PO knows how to use a saber staff. Good luck. He's able to let go. That's his he does embody what it means to be a Jedi. Whereas Qui-Gon was more like an Altus kind of Jedi. He was a Jyn Altus or a Callisto Masan kind of Jedi.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that brings me into like another kind of point that I wanted to talk about, which is like the dynamics of the Jedi at the time, like in the time period. I think thinking of, and I know people try to avoid politics and stuff, but I see in my head the parallels and I talk about them because I think they're interesting. But like if you think about the Jedi Council as kind of like the Senate in America, you'll notice that like Qui-Gon Jinn, Quinlan Voss, and there's a couple of other ones too that are more leftists. Like they're more like loose or they allow like the bending of the rules. And then you have these other ones like I'd say Kiadi, Luminara that are more traditional, more conservative, like honestly more on
Luminara
the
is very conservative. Luminara would,
yeah
would sacrifice her Padawan just, to
yeah
get the job
so
done.
so like there's this dichotomy that's sort of there, and I think it's an interesting space where Obi-Wan exists because if you think of, well, the way that I like try to relate it is that if you think about like the right side, you like, just for example, it would be something like the Mitch McConnells of the Jedi Council, and then you have like the other side, which is more like the AOCs of the Jedi Council. But then you have like a middle ground with Obi-Wan. I feel he's more of like a centrist. Like I don't have like a really good centrist example because I don't really like know many famous centrists, I guess, but he's kind of like almost an independent party sometimes, like a Bernie Sanders maybe, because like he is he does lean more conservative. I will say that. So I guess it's bad to use Bernie, but because he
I
does.
was about to say that was a horrible example.
Yeah,
I don't know where you're going with this.
Huh? No, I just think
I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm just saying, like he has more centrist. I'm getting to the point though. He has more, like I feel like of a centrist Jedi view from those two extremes. Like he does tend to lean towards the will of the council and tries to embrace it, but there are times that we see where he doesn't. He doesn't go full off the rails, but he has to improvise, and I feel like he is basically kind of like a middle ground in that aspect. Like I feel like he gets his teachings, like his straight to the books teachings from the Jedi Council, the Jedi Masters who trained him when he was a Padawan, and he gets his subjective kind of agent of socialization in Qui-Gon, which alters kind of how he views, because up until Qui-Gon's death, he had criticized him, he still loved him, but then like afterwards, and especially in Legends, I don't know if this holds true for canon, so I could be wrong, but he reminisces about his memories with Qui-Gon, like, Master, now I see why you did this, Master, what would you do here, like that kind of stuff, and he tries to let the Qui-Gon in him come out sometimes. I just feel like because of elements of his indoctrination as a traditional Jedi, oftentimes the more conservative towards the Jedi Council side wins. Thoughts?
I mean, fair, because he lost his master, who was the like aloof, let's have a little bit of fun kind of master, and even though Qui-Gon became a Force ghost, he wasn't able to actually communicate with Qui-Gon until after he fought Vader the second time. Well, it's kind of technically the third time, but the second middle one doesn't count because he just got his ass whooped. That was like a one-sided beatdown. But he wasn't able to actually talk to Qui-Gon as a Force ghost until he had like learned to accept both sides of himself, the love and everything that he had for Anakin, but also the teaching, like the Force. He had to, I mean, it was accepting the Force, the will of the Force, the way of the Force, meditation, self-reflection, that kind of thing, rather than just wallowing in self-pity. Sure, yeah, he's a centrist. I mean, are we comparing, like, I mean, okay, we're back to this example. We're going back to this. No.
Pause.
We record this. We record this.
I know not.
We're going back.
Pause,
we're going back.
Pause.
No,
you cannot.
not pausing.
Pause. No. You cannot blame me for my random ADHD memory association that helps me appreciate Star Wars because I can compare it to the that we have to experience today. Leave me alone. I said it was bad. Okay. It made sense in my head. I just like to
going
talk.
back anyway. So who's your Mitch McConnell? Who's your because if Obi-Wan's this.
Let me say something. I don't know people on the Republican side of Congress who speak. Mitch McConnell is just the turtle that I see on Twitter that it just popped into my name. I know he's a Republican. It was just for a metaphor. It was a joke. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
So who's your AOC?
That's someone who I know who's Democrat. Leave me alone. I didn't want to say Nancy Pelosi. Jeez. God.
Anyway.
I'm too busy on the Galactic Space Senate. I can't be bothered with our Senate. The Galactic Senate more fun.
The thing about Obi-Wan is he watched what happened to Qui-Gon. This is my interpretation because I haven't read all the novelizations of the movies, so I don't have that kind of like, insight into what Qui-Gon was thinking. However, we do see like Obi-Wan is definitely critical of his master. He's definitely more reserved, more straight and narrow, I would say. And he sees what the aloofness gets Qui-Gon in the end, and it gets him stabbed through the stomach and dead. And, that may not be like...
No, false. Sorry, I have to interject. False. Qui-Gon only lost that fight because he was old, not because of his aloofness. I want that specified.
I'm talking about this from Obi-Wan's perspective, okay? Because Obi-Wan can't read Qui-Gon's mind, all right? He doesn't know that Qui-Gon is thinking, oh shit, I'm old, my knees are weak, and this guy's arms are heavy.
Okay, fair. I'll give you that. Okay, I'll concede.
So he just sees his master meditate in a little laser prison thing, outside of some reactor, and then get himself stabbed through the stomach because instead of focusing on the fight, he was meditating. And Obi-Wan pulls up, gets the high ground, and then cuts this dude in half. Anyway, so Obi-Wan sees that like Qui-Gon's way was a way, but it didn't, in the end get him. It didn't work for Obi-Wan, clearly. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And so after Qui-Gon's death, he kind of went his own straight and narrow path instead of, following the more aloof teachings that Qui-Gon was aspiring to. And honestly, I think if Dooku had instead trained Obi-Wan, that would have been an interesting fellow.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. But I wanna interject one more time on a point you just made too. I don't agree with the assessment that, because he does end up adopting so much stuff from Qui-Gon into his form and his being. Like,
sure, you live with somebody for like 10 years, you're gonna pick up some of their habits. Like
more so than that. Like, it has to do with Qui-Gon was a radical Jedi because, well, not a radical Jedi. Well, yeah, I guess he's kind of radical because he was so in tune to the living force, which is the element of the force that the Jedi had become so weak in. And that's why Qui-Gon was just built different. And that's something that Obi-Wan very much so learns to do into his like adulthood, towards like, especially towards the ending of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, it was way after that, because it wasn't until, like I said, that's what I'm getting at. He couldn't see Qui-Gon. He couldn't communicate with Qui-Gon's Force ghost until he accepted the Force. That's what I'm saying. After Qui-Gon died, he kind of went away from that path. He went away from trusting more in the Force, and he trusted more in the teachings of the Jedi Temple. That's where I have ADHD too. All right, I'm jumping all over the place, so that's what I'm getting at. All right. That's what I'm saying. Once he embraced the Force, once he learned to like accept and let it in, let him guide him, then he's able to communicate with Qui-Gon. Then we see how he is in A New Hope, when he's basically Qui-Gon 2.0, right? Pulls up on the Death Star. He's like, let me just go chuckle in this reactor room and turn off the engines. Like, oh look, Vader. Come on, buddy. Like, strike me down.
I'm sorry. I'm a heckler, man. Not when it comes to Star Wars, I gotta heckle. Like, I still don't agree with that. I think maybe like you can say he definitely leaned more towards the council stuff after Qui-Gon's death, but I think that he still was in the mindset of that changing. At least we have like read stuff about Obi-Wan basically using Anakin. Like, Anakin just reminds him of Qui-Gon all the time, and he always talks about that, and he adopts stuff that he learns through experiences with Anakin, which I think is still the Qui-Gon in him. Like, it's not that he leans more towards them. He's doing both, but I guess, okay, you can say he leans more towards. He's doing both of them, but he's just doing more of the Jedi Council stuff. Is the point I'm trying to make?
Yeah. We don't disagree here.
I know.
Like I said, you live with somebody long enough, like, you're gonna pick up their habits. You're gonna see them in the things that they used to do, the memories, the nostalgia, that kind of stuff. If Anakin was nostalgic for him in that way, then yeah, I mean, you are gonna treat him a little bit differently, treat him with that similar kind of attitude, right? That's fair. But yeah, eventually, like, he's like, oh, I just have to trust in what my master taught me, which was trusting the Force, and what do you know? Voila, Force ghost time.
So I want to pick your brain a little bit here. I got two questions technically. The first one, which answers as long as you need. What do you think Anakin's future turns out like if he is able to be trained by Qui-Gon Jinn to knighthood, essentially? What do you think happens?
Well, my friend, he goes to Mortis. The father says, "Yo, take my place," and Anakin says, "Homie, what's up?"
I knew that this is where this was going. Like, I knew. I was like, I'm finna get myself into some. That's why I was like, yeah, take as much time as you need, because I knew it. knew it.
We've seen in the Ahsoka show, we've seen Anakin, he's the father now. Like, we've kind of agreed that that's how it is, right? He is now the balance. And again, that's after he learned to, like, accept all the parts of him, accept the Force. Same deal with Obi-Wan here. Different path, but, like, same kind of deal, right? If he had worked with Qui-Gon, he would have hit that path 30 years ago. It just would have been the fast track to being the chosen one, fulfilling the destiny, because Qui-Gon really would have, led him in the right direction. And when the choice came, and if Qui-Gon was there instead of Obi-Wan, or even if both of them were there, it doesn't really matter, at Mortis, and Anakin was given the opportunity to balance the Force, to become, part of the Force, Qui-Gon would have pushed him to do that. Qui-Gon would have said, this is your choice, but I believe this might be, this is your destiny. This is what you were born to do. That was totally Qui-Gon's. He would have encouraged him, whereas Obi-Wan's just kind of like, this is not in the Jedi Bible, let me tell you.
I absolutely agree. It's the fact that he was so in tuned to the living Force, a true Force Jesus.
So
Force Jesus is, I guess he was Force John the Baptist. He had to die, and then Force Jesus came, but they got to see each other because they were cousins. But sorry, look, I told you I gotta relate it to something else for Braden to go brrr, it's how it works. I'm sorry.
So there's a scene from episode 2, Attack of the Clones, where Obi-Wan is in the temple library, right? And the archives, and he's talking to Jocasta, right?
Yeah, the most badass librarian in the world, or in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Except she's stupid, and
Shut
he's
up.
like, hey, where this planet? And she like, it not in archive, not exist, no possible. That's how I view the Jedi way. It's like, oh, not written in book, must not be a valid. Like that little interaction is really funny to me, where she's just saying that, and Obi-Wan's like, huh, okay. He's like, huh, okay, let me go ask Yoda. Like immediately he's like, let me go ask this old senile all right.
I gotta blame you. You got me thinking about Obi-Wan trained by Dooku now. Like, could you imagine the lightsaber combat?
Right?
But could you also imagine how I feel like Obi-Wan would have turned out so jaded? Like, because he would have gone with Dooku when Dooku left. Like, he would have ended up under Palpatine.
Dooku could have turned Obi-Wan. Yeah, if Dooku was Obi-Wan's master, Dooku, I see it. Dooku could have turned Obi-Wan.
See, okay, I'm glad you see what I'm seeing, because like that's what I thought you were hinting at when you said it would be dangerous.
Yeah, it would, because like, think about it. Obi-Wan is one of the only Jedi in the last however many years, 1,000 years, to not only beat and kill one Sith, but 2 Sith, and he beats Asajj multiple times. He beats Grievous' ass. He's so good. He's a G, and he does eventually actually kill Maul, properly, by cutting him in half the other direction.
That's a bad joke, but I give it a 10 out of 10.
Like, Obi-Wan is the only person beating the Sith until Luke comes along. I mean, yeah, sure, Anakin like helps him. Anakin beats Dooku, but at that point, Dooku was like Qui-Gon past his prime at that point. But yeah, like, Obi-Wan beats Maul, and Maul was very powerful, very skilled with the saber staff. And also, we know from reading, like, for instance, the Bane trilogy, that an advantage of the saber staff is that people didn't train against it, so that it was, when they fought against it, it was hard for them to counter, and it actually scared them into making mistakes because they didn't know how to fight against it. So not only did Obi-Wan beat Maul, but he beat Maul using a saber staff, which is pretty freaking hard. And I fought, Brick 3PO when Brick 3PO has a saber staff, and let me tell you, I'm terrified every time. I'm backing up and tripping over myself to get away from that man.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
So he beats Maul, and then at the prime of Obi-Wan's power, well, not the prime, I'd say the prime is when he beats Anakin the second time, Vader the second time. But he beats Anakin basically at the height of his, power, pretty, easily. I'm gonna say, that fight looked, hard and definitely hard fought, but pretty much the whole time Obi-Wan is holding back, like, because he doesn't want to kill his brother, right?
That's something that I'm gonna be heavy on for the next part that we have for the show
Oh,
because
sorry if I'm jumping ahead here. My
no,
bad.
it's okay, it's okay, trust me. But when we do start talking about like the Clone Wars and Episode 3 stuff, I mean, you're gonna hear me gush. I'm absolutely going to gush because that is like my favorite period in the Obi-Wan series. But I don't want to get off track, so I want to bring us back to a couple of because I did have one more question for you. With your ADHD ass going all off on tangent. You forgot. I see. I see. And it's a bit of a weird question, I guess. And that is it's about Obi-Wan's quote unquote obligation to train Anakin. Like and I want to split this question into like two other parts, which I'm going to give you my take on it first, and then I want to hear yours. If Obi doesn't train Anakin, who would? And what is the pressure of Qui-Gon's death and his decision to train Anakin? And so I'm gonna start it off. So for the first part,
I need to speak. I need to speak
no,
before I lose my train of thought. No. I
no,
told you I got
talking,
ADHD.
Okay, go. Even though I said I'm gonna answer first, but I guess
No,
go.
I need it. I got a point. I gotta say it now. Okay, so
Go.
if Obi didn't train Anakin, nobody trained Anakin except Sheev. Okay, Sheev was yoinking that kid right then and there because none of them wanted to train Anakin. They said he was too old. Yoda was like, "Get out, you must," and then freaking Mace over here was like, "No, kid, you too old. I'm peace. No beggars in this temple." And so nobody is training Anakin. Sheev's gonna pick him up because Sheev is still very charismatic, and he knows that Anakin is born of no father. He knows the prophecy, of course. So he's gonna know that Anakin is gonna be powerful. He can probably feel the Force from galaxy away from that kid. So that was my thought on that one. I'm sorry. You can go now. I'll answer the other part of the question after you go.
No, don't just go.
No, because I'm gonna
Continue.
need you to repeat the question because I forgot the second half already.
See, fuck you. This is why you should have let me go first. You're doing fine.
No, I had to go. See, I already forgot the second part already. Like my train of thoughts are. You gotta go.
All right, hear me out. Hear me out on this on who I think should train Anakin if Obi-Wan doesn't. What do you have a guess on what I'm thinking? I want to see what you think I think before I say.
Let's see. We've got your favorite lightsaber, Depa Billaba. We've got Psychopath Luminara. We've got Key with his big head. We got. There was no way Mace was training this kid.
Beep 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 beep. We have a winner. Yes, dude. That's what I want. I want
Mace?
him. I want Mace because I think that gives Anakin his outlet. I think Vapid is the answer. I really do. So am I. Like they okay. First off, think about a Vapid Anakin. Like that's insane. Second, it's a way for him to channel his emotion, which is what he's struggling with. So why not better than the person who also has the same struggle, is just a sexy chocolate black man? Like that's +5. And then it's just I just think he's the one. He's the one that should have trained Anakin. He just is. Like it just makes so much sense. Like just think they would just talk each other constantly. It would be back and forth and back and forth, or either that or the hard extreme where Mace Windu being number 2 at the time is just like cut out and puts Anakin in line. Either way, I think that the answer to Anakin's frustrations built out is him not being able to take it out in an art form that he excels at. Do you know how he's an emotional teenager? Okay, every emotional teenager, my gamers out there, when you can play a video game and you can play it good and do it well and have a great time, do you not do it? Like, I just feel like you're so much calmer when you're playing your video games. No, you chilling, you Jay chilling, and you beating ass. Anakin Vapid was the answer. Mace Windu. That's no one else.
My opinion is he was too old to start training with Vapid because he already had the attachments that Mace as when I I haven't read like a Mace biography, but
Shatterpoint. You have the game. Read the book.
I do have the game.
And wrong. By the way, I think wrong because the Karunai, the people that Mace Windu are, like his race, like they all start training, like they have it from birth, but they do wait till they're like kids and stuff to like train with it, and they, even though it's like inherently in the dark side of the Force, I feel like that puts Anakin at an advantage when you know the story of the Korunai and their innate connection to the dark side. Like that's something you learn in Shatterpoint, is that Mace Windu comes from these people that are bred from the dark, kind of it's the African equivalent to like the Dathomiri people. They're just the black dark side Force users, like literally they're all just beautiful chocolate men and women just doing dark side things naturally. I think that's beautiful. I think that works for Anakin. He's literally the one white kid invited to the cookout. Like I think it could have been something special.
You know,
look, just
that's okay. No, pause.
Let me have fun. Let me have fun with my hypothetical, please.
Okay, and let me argue it.
Why?
You want viewership? Let me argue it. All right.
Why?
Look, you said they're born with it. All right. Maybe it's Maybelline. All right. Maybe they're born with it. Okay.
You are crushing my dreams in front of me, and I have to watch it. I just have to watch it. I have to listen to it too. Like,
nah. You see, because maybe they're born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Anakin is Maybelline. Mace is born with it. All right. That's Anakin's got to wear the makeup. It's just how it is. All right. Going back to our who's your favorite twink.
But no, hold on. But my analogies, my comparisons are weird. But you just said maybe it's Maybelline. You, Hunter. What? That doesn't make any sense.
It wasn't meant to make very much sense at all.
Are you just making fun of me? Mockery is the sincerest form of flattery, I guess.
Well, I do respect you. So, no, but
lies.
Let's you know what I'm about to do though, because we start talking about training with it as children. You know where I'm gonna go with training children to. Okay, you know what? I see your face. I'm watching you too. I see your camera. I know where you live.
Oh, you do.
But no, because if your whole people is born and raised with this connection, right? It's part of your culture to learn that, right? It's part of your culture to train in that.
Hunter.
Oh no.
He is literally Force Jesus. It does not matter.
Jesus.
It does not. So then your point is moot. It does not matter. Jesus can do all things. I've heard the Christians speak. Yeah, stuck. What can you say?
I just don't think Vapid was the move for Anakin.
Okay, and I do. So
no, because I think because he's too strong in the Force to be pulling like that. All right.
Then who better than to the number 2 guy of the Force at the time to help him? Hello? Like he's not just a master for funsies.
You mean the number 2 narcissist? Okay.
Okay, I don't think that Mace Windu is a narcissist.
The whole Jedi Order is just what's the word I'm looking for here? A poster child for narcissism. All right, poster child for looking in the mirror and thinking you're awesome.
No, that's not Mace Windu. Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, he looks in the mirror and is awesome. I agree, but that's not Mace Windu. You need to go read Shatterpoint. Go have a good time. You're welcome. I know you can power through books.
I'm still on this point, and I'm gonna keep arguing it until we're done here.
No, so it's never going to end. I'm never going to agree. I've thought about this a lot.
I don't think Mace was a good choice. First of all, Mace was the strongest voice in the Jedi Council arguing against Anakin being trained. There's no way he turns around and says, you know what? I got you, homie. Let me teach you the super OP power that draws on the dark side when I'm already afraid of you falling to the dark side.
It does not matter because one, if it's the will of the council, which it was decided it was, and he was still picked, he would. He would have to do it. He wouldn't, I mean, even if he was against it, he would still have to do it. It's an order. Second, I'm asking you, if Obi-Wan doesn't, who is the best choice for him? And it's definitely Mace Windu. No shot it's not. Mace Windu would know all the little tricks on how to handle the dark side, how to handle those deep, dark emotions. I think that Mace was being a to Anakin because he didn't want this kid in his order. Like that, I understand. But like, if told to train, he would, because of who he was, he would uphold what his duty is. And I think he would have to, because he would see it, and he would know he was seeing it because he's trained in it. I just think that the question is, if Obi-Wan doesn't train Anakin, who is the best? Okay, sure, you think that Mace Windu is a bad choice, but who is better? I think they're all bad choices, but the guy who knows how to handle the dark side is probably the best one to help your chosen one avoid the dark side.
That doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does.
No, because I know it's just the phrasing you use there, but like the guy draws on the dark side when he fights. That is not avoiding the dark side in any way.
I understand that, but it's how you gain mastery of it, though. You have to go through it. It's why, it's one of the reasons. It's one of my tenets that I hold high for Star Wars lore, especially when you think about Legends, is the fact that the best Force users in the galaxy have always been those who are trained in both sides, those who know about both sides. Luke, Revan, point blank, period. Those people. I think that just the background that we have, him being Force Jesus, literally the Force Holy Spirit impregnated Shmi Skywalker and Force Jesus was born. I think that you're not giving him enough leeway for how important that would be in the overall scheme of things too, because now if he has mastery over the dark side, he can avoid it. But now that he has mastery over the dark side and the light side, how better to manage the brother and the sister? Like, I don't understand why you are disagreeing with me on this. This makes no sense based on what you like. You. You're arguing for argument's sake, I swear.
It's a little bit of both. I disagree with you, and I'm arguing because it's fun.
Man, I don't deserve this. I pay taxes. I do it of my own accord. Like, I'm a good person, I swear. Jesus.
All right. What's the second half of the damn question?
How do you think the pressure of the decision affected Obi-Wan and the decision itself? Like, so for him to train Anakin, that is. So like, do you think that the like, basically, what does Qui-Gon's death in the grand scheme of things make you think about Obi-Wan's decision and pressure to follow through with the training of Anakin?
We've seen this in countless stories. Your homie dies and his final wish is for you to blah 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 whatever, and then you spend your whole life trying to, live up to that blah 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 because your homie was the realest one there was, right? We see that so many times in media. So there was definitely a lot of pressure. And the fact that we know that Qui-Gon's a Force ghost and he's just sitting there watching Obi-Wan this whole time. I know Obi-Wan didn't know that, but can you just imagine he didn't train Anakin and Qui-Gon is just following him for like the rest of time, just shaking his head like with his arms crossed, like there was always a bigger fish, man. You should have gone for the fish. Like I mean, there was absolutely pressure. And back to my point for your first half of this question, he couldn't have known.
God damn.
No. I'm not arguing anymore. But he couldn't have known that the Jedi Council would still accept the training of Anakin after Qui-Gon if he didn't step up to the plate. Because they were very adamant that they didn't want him to be trained, and Qui-Gon was like, I will train the boy. It's fine. Like, don't worry. So there was hella pressure because now Anakin's, been told, like, I'm going to be trained. I'm going to be a Jedi. This is awesome. And then Obi-Wan going to turn around and be like, sorry. And yeah, the order definitely probably...
Hold on. Can you make that sound again, please? What are you doing?
What do you mean?
What is that? Do it again. Oh, okay. I'm getting that. You know what? No, that's staying in the show. I'm sorry. Thank you.
But anyway, you're welcome. But they're just gonna be like, no thanks. He doesn't know. He has no clue if they're gonna train Anakin or not. So yeah, he definitely was very pressured, not only from his master's final wishes, but also from the fact that there's no guarantee that Anakin would then have a good master. So he's trying to step up to the plate. He's also still a teenager at that point, right? He's like 18, 19. So still a very impressionable age. and he's just been given a directive by this really old guru that he smokes weed with in the back room, and like his last words were like, "Bro, you gotta train that kid." And then the Jedi, the Jedi Temple, who's like, "Whoa, we don't smoke that here." He has no clue if they're gonna accept that kid. Anyway, that was an analogy for you to understand.
You're just missing the mark on these today, sir. I'm sorry. That'll be $34.99. I take cash, all major cash apps, Venmos, Zelle. $34.99, brother. No, that was terrible. Come on, you pay me for that.
I bought you pizza.
Bought me pizza?
I don't know you nothing.
When did you buy me pizza? Oh, you did buy me pizza. My bad. All right. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here for the show today. This has been part 1 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi season finale. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Thank you so much for watching. And be sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, most major podcasting platforms, really. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Force Unscripted, as it is on the podcast. And we will see you guys on the next episode. May the Force be with you and have a wonderful day. Today's episode goes out in dedication to the loving memory of Emma Stewart, Hunter's grandmother, who passed before this episode could be released. I lost my grandmother earlier this year, and it was tough. And I know from just talking to Hunter that his grandmother, like mine, was very loving and supportive of our enjoyment of Star Wars and helped form us to the men we are today, having fun on this podcast. And so, again, this episode goes out to her enduring spirit and the brightness that she shined on Hunter's life. She will continue to guide us through the Force as a luminous star in this cosmic tapestry of our shared emotions and love for such a great sci-fi series. So, in proper Mandalorian fashion, Hunter and I have one final send-off.
Nisukoi Garkiradish Nipartaili Gardarasum.
In Mandalorian, this is a daily remembrance of those who have passed on. It means I'm still alive, but you are dead. I remember you, so you are eternal. And that is one of the most beautiful things in Mandalorian culture, in my opinion. We'll forever remember you, Bob Weir.